The quad flap chest rig is, believe it or not, just a chest rig. Looking at it, you're going to see a lot of similarities between chest rigs that have been around since the early 2000s and even going back before then. It's very similar to the LBT series that has 4 flapped mag pouches in the front, as well as a lot of the Eagle chest rigs that became very popular during the early days of GWAT. And there's other chest rigs on the market that look very similar, but I'm going to go ahead and go through each of the different features that our rig has and show you guys the compatibility of the pouches and hopefully answer some of the questions that you have with the rig. Starting off, let's talk about magazine compatibility. In the front are 4 flapped mag pouches. They are designed to fit 2 Magpul PMAGS and or similar Stay-Nag carbine magazines in 5.56. The elastic along the side of the mag carrier is going to give some retention when you only have a single magazine in the pouch, so it's not sliding all around with a bunch of slop. And as you can see, the flap engages with the 2 magazines, and then once you get the flap out of the way, you can go to town reloading your weapon. Each mag pouch can also fit up to 4 MP5 magazines. Why you would want to carry that much 9mm, I don't know. But yes, it can be done. Obviously, if you had a 30 rounder, this would be able to shut, but I have a 40 rounder extended stick, and that's what it looks like. Each pouch will also fit your standard 30 caliber DMR type magazine. So in this case, I have a G3 magazine. And even with all the nubbins and the weird geometry of the magazine, is good to go just fine. With DMR magazines, though, you are going to have some overhang with the flap, as you will see right here, which you don't necessarily have to pull it tight across the top. You could engage it right here. The mag's not really going to jump around. And to get to the magazine, you're just going to open up the flap, pull it out, and there you have your G3 magazine and or similar. You are not going to be able to stack 2 of these suckers due to the width of the magazine. These pouches are not compatible with 2 DMR magazines, but you can run 4 and you'll be good to go. It's also compatible, obviously, with any magazine of that dimension. So in this case, I have a AICS magazine for my Surgeon bolt gun, and that's not going to be a problem either. Now, as far as AK magazines go, we could take a single mag of 7.62 by 39, and we can get that to fit just fine in the mag pouch. However, we did not design this chest rig for communists, so you're not going to be able to fit 2 7.62 by 39 magazines into this. That would require the flap being much longer, and then the downside to that is now the chest rig's not going to work great with DMR magazines. The flap's going to be a little too long for 5.56, so we had to prioritize Western weaponry with this particular chest rig, and there is a reason why AK-specific chest rigs exist, because AK mags are just a different animal with the curvature and just the size of kind of what's going on. The good news is, though, 5.45 by 39 magazines, AK-74 magazines, you can fit 2 of them just fine into one of these mag pouches. However, the flap, once again, is a little short for these because they are still angled a little bit more than Stay-Nag magazines. But as you can see, I can engage the flap for the 2 AK-74 magazines. So I could run 8 of those pretty easily, so that is cool. You could definitely get by with that. Some of you guys may wonder about 417 magazines, or specifically MR762 magazines, as that is the commercialized version of that available to civilians here in the US. This mag is horrible. For any product out there, generally people have to make specific mag carriers for these magazines, and the magazine pouch that gets issued with the M110A1 is the HSGI Taco because it can be expanded to fit a lot of different magazines. In this case, you are not going to be able to fit the 417 magazine in these pockets easily. It can work, but I would not be able to re-index the magazine in while wearing the chest rig. Reloading out of it, I could do that. That would work. But it's not going to be the most easy, functional fit when it comes to tack magging a 417 rifle back into the chest rig. But the fact that it can fit them is pretty rad. The mag pouches can also fit other items, such as handguns, a very nice way of carrying a pistol if you're not wearing a belt. So in this case, a Glock 19 with an X300. Glock 19 with a TLR7 with an SRO. And if I need to use my pistol, obviously just take it out of the pouch, go up a ladder, do whatever I need to do. It's a very nice way to carry a pistol if you're not wearing a belt. You can also fit a standard water bottle for drinking. If you don't have dedicated hydration pouches and you just want to carry some water. And the rig will also fit 4 Molotov cocktails if you so choose to carry those types of ordnance on your body. The rest of the chest rig has 3 rows of MOLLE on each side. This will accommodate any of your standard 3-row MOLLE pouches or single row pouch within a double. The reason we went with a 3-row, just philosophically, is there's a lot. It opens up the options for what kind of pouches you can run on a chest rig like this. It's also not making the chest rig so wide that it won't work with a pack if you're wearing a pack with this rig. Going to 4 or 5 rows of MOLLE would start to get a little tricky for most body types, especially someone as skinny as I am. But 3 rows combined with 4 magazines has been pretty standard for most chest rigs the past couple decades. So in this case, I could run something like this. I think this is an Eagle medical pouch. I could slap that on one side. I could run a 3-row smaller GP pouch like the Spiritus on this side. I could run a 2-row, this is like a GP Hydro type pouch. Have a single row. For a dedicated tourniquet pouch. So as you can see, there's a lot of ways to customize the chest rig, but another goal for us out of the box is that you are able to use this chest rig with ammunition, water, your admin map related stuff using the admin pouch in the center, and 2 radio pouches that are on the underside of the rig. Now when we designed these 2 pouches, we had to make the decision what kind of radio to prioritize. A lot of companies are prioritizing large military-style radios like this 152, and the downside to that is most of us civilian consumers, civilian customers, when you go to throw a civilian radio, such as this Yasu, into a pouch designed for this, your radio is going to fall into the pouch. It's not going to fit great. It's really sloppy. So we had a pretty long discussion about our target demographic. You know, who is this chest rig for? Are we trying to scoop military contracts and make this for guys with 152s? Or are we trying to make this chest rig for the civilian population who are most likely running Motorola's, Baofangs, Yasus, and other smaller radios? And we decided to prioritize the chest rig to those civilian customers. However, for those of you guys in the military or who have larger radios, or even in this case an airsoft replica, which does still work, it's got Baofeng guts inside basically, you will be happy to hear that this radio pouch can take a 152. The pouch is adjusted via Velcro. Along the inside of the radio pouch is a very fine Velcro hook. And then you take the bottom section, which is movable along the radio pouch, very similar to most radio wings on the market, and you can move this little guy further down or further up into the pouch based on the size of radio you have. So if I was using this little Yasu radio, I would actually tuck this guy further up to keep the radio a little bit higher in the rig, which would allow me to change the channels easily because the radio is not falling deep into the pouch. In this case, if I want to insert this 152, I'm actually going to move this all the way to the bottom. And another feature we built into this is, and a lot of radio pouches don't have this, and I wish they did, not only is this modular for adjustment for how low or how high the radio sits, but we actually padded the bottom side of the material here, the Cordura. We have a little spacer mesh padding on the inside, which makes it much more comfortable when you have that hard edge of the radio pressed up against your rib cage. And that's just something that in testing we determined, hey, that's a nice value add, makes the radio a little more comfortable to wear over a long period of time. So that's just another thing we built into this particular pouch. We also have spacer mesh on the inside, again, making it a little bit more comfortable as it sits against your body because it is going to be very tight to the body, which has lots of benefits. So we're going to mount this as far down as we can. And then we have an adjustable keeper, which again has Velcro on one side, and that is going to adhere to the inside of the pouch, again, at whatever height you so desire. And that is going to help prevent the radio from, obviously, unintentionally falling out. So we're going to insert the radio. The radio pouch does have elastic on the sides to expand with the size of the pouch, as you will see right there, which is good in this case because this radio is thick. Push it all the way down. And then in this case, the 152 is so tight, I probably don't need the keeper. But if I decided to use the keeper, I would just run it up over the top, around the channel knob, and tuck it back down into the pouch. It will be a tight fit though. I could even substitute different shock cord. So there you have it, a 152 military size radio in the radio pouch that is built into the chest rig. But again, we did specifically design this for smaller radios, but you obviously can get it to fit larger radios for those of you guys who are still in the military or who happen to be running a airsoft replica. The benefits of having two internal radio pouches means right outside of the box, you're able to start running radios. You can run a tourniquet on one side, magazines in the mag pouches, and your admin map note-taking stuff on the inside of the pouch without having to buy additional components or additional pouches. Obviously, you'll want to probably buy two pouches for the side, but we wanted to provide you guys as much value as possible out of the box. We're not trying to make the most modular rig ever. That wasn't the goal for this chest rig. Some of you may ask for split rig versions and buckles and removable flaps and a bunch of other stuff, and it might be something we do in the future. It might be something other companies should pursue instead. This is just some of our philosophy of trying to provide as much value as we can to our demographic of customer, and all of the decisions and the features we built into this was with that mindset of providing as much as we can out of the box. So moving along with that, we have a GP map pouch, which is quite sizable. Will fit multiple sizes of Right in the Rain notebooks. This is the smaller one with the cover. It can fit all of my other various map making equipment, map reading equipment, markers, and if I turn this all sideways, I can get the pouch to shut and keep everything secured, or mostly shut at least. In this case, it won't really matter because it'll be tied against my body. We also extended the two tabs here to pull it apart, simply because if you have 40-round magazines in the mag pouches or you've doubled them up with 30s, and it's just very large, sometimes it can be hard to get back there and pull a small tab, like on a lot of chest rigs. So we actually extended these little ears to make it easier to get into the pouch. And because we have Velcro on the inside, loop and hook, you can add your axle adapters if you want to use a zipper instead, or Ferro, or any of these other companies that are making Velcro zippers, and you can run that instead. Like most modernized chest rigs, there's also a very large, generous loop field on the back of the chest rig. This is so you can mount your various dangler pouches, such as the Spiritus sack pouch I have right here. I'm just going to slap that on. The cover is Cordura on one end with loop Velcro on the other, so it is comfortable. It's not just a panel of loop Velcro with the hard, stiff material on the other side. And we're just going to throw that back on top. And I now have my dangler added. Moving along to the H-Harness, we wanted something that was very adjustable. So when it comes to ride height, this is very important because you want an H of the H-Harness to sit on your shoulders, not down in the small of your back, not all the way up against your neck. There is some sizing that you can do where the H-Harness actually attaches to the chest rig. So you can move the QASM buckle either down one slot, so the H moves further down your back, or you can move it up one slot. You have 3 total positions to get that H higher up on your back. For me, being a smaller, skinnier dude, I'm typically running my QASM buckle all the way to the top. This positions the H right up here near my shoulders, not up to my neck, near my shoulders, and that just helps keep the shoulder straps from falling off of your shoulders, which is very helpful. So that's adjustable here. You'll also see on the front of the H-Harness, we have a lot of different options for securing PTTs. We have a quite long piece of one wrap that can wrap around the chest rig multiple times to secure your various PTTs. We then have an elastic loop 2 hard nylon loops that do not stretch. They are not PALS spaced. People get them confused for MOLLE. They're not MOLLE spaced. And then 1 more elastic strap in the rear. That would be like for routing your cable back down and around to your radio tucked underneath. On the back of the H-Harness, we did something a little bit different than a lot of companies. Instead of having a adjustable 2 pieces of Velcro that sandwich together and you can kind of move them in and out based on how, what size you are, if you're running a bigger body or a smaller body. And then having that unfortunate seam of the Velcro, we decided to go with a 1-piece design. So this is squadron material with loop Velcro on the front. And we sized it and angled it in such a way that it will work with most body types. We've tested this on smaller dudes. We've tested this on larger dudes. And for most of them, it works just fine. So we're trying to go for a one size fits most and is also a little bit more, a little bit nicer than some of the other designs out there as far as form and function. There's enough loop field here to add your various name tapes. In this case, it will take a standard flag patch just fine. The H-Harness is also adjustable, just like every other chest rig H-Harness out there. You can adjust the height and the length of the strap coming around under your arm, attaching to the corner of the rig. And there is a single tri-glide, and then you can just size it appropriately. Tie off your loose material with electrical tape or cut it, so you have a little bit of control there as well as far as sizing. For those of you that are going to ask, is there an X harness coming for this rig? Possibly. I would not necessarily recommend running an X harness on this size of chest rig with the amount of weight that's going to be probably going on with a rig like this, but you can obviously sub in any X harness or H harness from another company simply because we are using standardized QASM swift clip buckles, so pretty much anyone's harness is going to be compatible with the quad flap chest rig. Now for the sides, we did something a little bit different. We have the standard back strap that is coming with this chest rig, so it has elastic on each side, so you get a little bit of breathability if you make this nice and tight to the body, but you also have that fast adjustment. On one side of the chest rig, you could simply pull the buckle along the webbing and tighten or loosen the rig. And in this case, you'll see we shipped the back strap with quite a lot of webbing. You will want to size this to yourself, and in this case, I would cut a lot of the excess off. I wouldn't even tape it because, let's face it, this is enough webbing for the average Walmart person. You don't really need this much webbing, but we gave you quite a bit. The other cool thing that we can do right here with this chest rig, and again, I would love more companies to embrace this, is instead of forcing you guys to only be able to mount the back strap to the bottom corner and then the H-harness to the top corner, we added an extra little MOLLE loop that you can use to move the split bar swift clip buckle to the middle of the rig. Now what this does is, if you've loaded out one of these chest rigs with 8 magazines, water, general purpose items, a sack pouch of some sort, you've got maybe 2 radios, one that's encrypted, one that's not. When you're running the back strap down at the bottom corner of the chest rig, what often happens is a lot of the items on the side will actually start to bow outwards, which is uncomfortable because then your arms kind of sit on it funny. It's not tight to the body. You jump around, everything's moving around. What we found with testing was if you simply move the back strap to the middle of the rig, where the weight is positioned, you're going to be pulling from the middle of the chest rig where all the weight is. Everything is kept a little bit tighter to the body. You don't have as much slosh and jumping around and stuff tipping outwards on the sides. And the other cool thing is, because we have 2 of these loops, you could actually sub in another back strap if you really want maximum stability, and you could actually run 2 of these suckers side by side over in your back. Now the downside there is you have a little bit more material. If you're wearing a pack, maybe that's an extra hot spot that may occur. But I've run this with 2 back straps, and it is extremely stable if that's something you're interested in. But typically running a single strap around through the middle is actually going to work the best. So give it a shot if you happen to buy this chest rig and you want to load it down. See what works better for you. Possibly the middle, possibly on the bottom where it comes default. But we did give you guys that option, and I'd say this is just one little piece of nylon webbing, but this is probably one of the greatest features to this chest rig. It is so simple, and I hope more companies adopt this because that would be pretty rad. So now that we've shown what one of these chest rigs looks like out of the box, let's look at a couple that are fully decked out. So this is a rig that is set up with full magazines. So this is essentially a full loadout you would use for going after Makarov. I've got 8 PMAGS, so that's quite a bit of ammo. I've got water, because that will give me stamina, so I can sprint longer. I've got my GP pouch, which is full of... Brandon set this one up, so he's got all manner of interesting things in here. He's got a spare battery for his radio, got some batteries, notebooks, some radio accessories. On the back side, he's got his Yasu radio, and he has that fitted so it sits higher up in the pouch. From the top down, he's got a, I want to say this is a Faro, just simply because of the rubber little dealios, a Faro zipper adapter for the admin pouch, and he's got signaling equipment, an IR strobe, some other fun little things on the inside. And let's go ahead and throw this guy on to see what it looks like. Oh, he's got a little pouch over here. Cool. So this is what Brandon's rig looks like with all the magazines. It does sit pretty deep. You can still go prone wearing a rig like this. It's a little bit of a misconception. Is it the most comfortable thing ever? No, but it can be done. And you'll see where I'm sitting right now, the items are ending. It's not going, back to the getting all the way back here. With the 3 rows of MOLLE, I can still access these side pouches easily. In this case, I have a little flat pouch with a flashlight. Hydration pouch right here with a traditional style canteen. I can get to that easily. Tourniquet tucked into this internal radio pocket. I can get to it if I need to with either hand. All my magazines ready to go. And then my GP pouch here on the side, which if I'm going to get into this pouch, it just makes it a little bit easier to move the entire rig slightly on my body, get into it, get my stuff, zip it back up, and then I'm good to go and I'm solid. So this is Brandon's rig. So this is one of my rigs. And I've got this one set up for long range work because I've been doing a lot of long range shooting lately. I have a Eagle saw pouch here on the side. Again, this is a 3-row mag pouch. It'll fit a 100-round saw sack pouch, which is awesome. But in this one, I can have whatever I want. And in this case, I've got a medical tray from a Med 1 and a spare tourniquet. Again, I can put whatever I want in there. Electrical tape because I use it all the time on the range. Magnifier, this Vortex magnifier fits just fine in one of the cells on the rig, so I position it on the one that I need to get to. I actually get to my magnifier more than I shoot, so technically it should be on this side. I can still get to it just fine. I keep my magazines more favored to the center and the left. I have 2 AICS magazines for my Surgeon 6.5, my CSR. I have a bottle of water, since I do have to drink. And I'm not in a tactical setting, so it's just a nice way to carry a water bottle around. I have a flashbang pouch, an Eagle flashbang pouch, which has my Kestrel. And I have this tied down to my H-Harness, so I can get to that often. I get to that very often. A small 2-cell GP pouch. This has batteries for my rifle and for my optics and anything else I'm using. A headlamp, which is absolutely essential, and I use a headlamp quite a lot. A multi-tool to fix things whenever I need to. And then a pair of gloves for if I'm needing to wear gloves for some reason. And this guy's going to look... And I don't have a radio on this rig set up right now. I can always throw it in there, but I'm not always using a radio on the range. So this is what my rig looks like when I'm wearing it. Got my ammunition for my bolt gun if I'm walking away from the vehicle and I just want to have it on me. Got the meds, got the magnifier, tourniquet in the radio pouch, just like how Brandon had it. Had water or a bottle of rain. As I need to drink, Kestrel's accessible. GP pouch is acceptable. It's accessible. And then I also have my Right in the Rain notebook, which has I've got some wild stuff in here, including rulers, maps, notebooks, if I happen to manually mill stuff. And I'm just going to shove that. I don't even have to Velcro the pouch itself. I literally just have to shove this in there. And it stays just fine. But one of the best things about flapped mag pouches that I'll demonstrate right now is, right now I have this set up for a magnifier and 2 bolt gun mags and a water bottle. But at any moment, I can take these pouches and swap over to 5.56 as fast as this, or any other magazine. DMR, AK, MP5, this really is the superior method for battlefield pickups. Any magazine, well, within reason, nothing massive, I'm going to be good to go, including Glock magazines. So in this case, I could go, you know what? I'm not wearing a belt. I'm just instead going to do a pistol, maybe unchambered, just ready to go if I need it. On this pouch, this is a fun trick you can do. Take the flap, roll it up, then fold it into the pouch. And what this is going to do is it's going to make the mouth a little bit tighter, and this will now function as my speed reload pouch. Now, if I'm jumping all around and doing crazy stuff, like that mag has a potential to fall out, but now I don't have to defeat a flap to get to this single magazine. I can still run double mags flapped in the front. And this is what my loadout can look like, going from my DMR sniper rifle loadout and now into my Salter 5.56 loadout. So as you guys can see, the quad flap chest rig is a very versatile chest rig, even without it being a super modular chest rig like some of the other ones on the market. There's a lot of features it has right out of the box, but you can also tailor it to your needs, changing out some pouches, changing up how you use your 4 mag pouches in the front, and you can really tailor it to what you need for a chest rig. And at the end of the day, for most of us civilians, we don't have a mission that we are necessarily training for or that we know we're able to execute. We have to have equipment that we can tailor on the fly, or potentially tailor on the fly in the future if something horrible happens. And that's the reason to have equipment that can sort of flex into different roles, because I don't know what I'm going to need this chest rig for in the future. But I like the ability to be able to put some different things in some pouches, use some different magazines if I need to, and just have a rig that I can wear for moving a prolonged period of time with or without armor. And just this gives me a whole lot of capability and options out of the box. If you have any other questions about this chest rig or some of the other products that are compatible with it, go ahead and email us at team@trex-arms.com.